Hello, scientific people. Welcome to DAV Moali Public School. I hope you are doing great with the chapter of reproduction in plants. This is the second video of this chapter. Previously, we have studied about reproduction in plants. Basically, reproduction is where an individual is formed with the help of a parent. When we're talking about species, when we talk about plants, plant can reproduce both sexually as well as asexually. In sexual reproduction, it requires a part of a plant, and the plant which reproduces is mainly flower. Flower has different uh, male and female parts, and they fuse together to form new plant. Whereas plant can even produce asexually. Asexually means it does not require seeds for reproduction, seeds or spores for reproduction. So those plants which does not require any seeds or any spores for reproduction are termed as asexual reproduction. Now, the first method of asexual reproduction is budding. Now, budding is a process of an individual through the buds or to develop on the parent body. Now, what do I mean by this statement? Now, budding is simply a process. As I told, it is a process of producing a bud. Bud is simply as you can see in this plant, a small bud is there. With the help of this bud, new buds grow and new species starts to arise from that particular bud. Perfect example, it is a hydra and bud, hydra and yeast. These two hydra and yeast is nothing but a plant from which it has a bud, and with the help of that bud a new plant starts to grow. We will see in schematic diagram about budding. So for a time being, budding is simply a process through an individual through the buds that develop into a parent body. Example is hydra and yeast. As you can see in this picture, we will mainly focus on yeast. We will take an example of yeast and understand the process of budding. Yeast look like this, which this is greeny structure. This which look like this it is basically a plant, and as you can see in this picture, a plant is there and yeast is being produced. This purple color is nothing but an yeast which is being produced in plants. As you can see, this is an animal, a dog, and this sort of thing, a reddish mark is there. This is nothing but an yeast which has been developed in animal as well as yeast also developed in plants. Yeast are widely dispersed in nature with a variety of habitats. It developed on different types of habitat. They are mostly found in plants and animals. Yeast are found. Yeast are also found on the surface of skin and the intestinal tracts of warm-blooded animals. So warm-blooded animals like this dog, where the body temperature does not change, that is a warm-blooded animals. For an instant, if I take an example of human being body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Depending upon atmospheric condition, the body temperature does not change or does not have a drastic change. So it is an warm-blooded animals. So this dog is a warm-blooded animal. So yeast mainly develop in warm-blooded animals when we talk about animals. And when we talk about plants, as you can see in this picture, small yeast have been developed in plants. So budding, it is a process which an individual develops through a bud with the help of a parent body. We will understand this budding concept more precisely. Example are hydra and yeast. Hydra is again a sort of plant. With the help of a bud, a new hydra starts to grow. We were talking about yeast. Yeast is look like this, and yeast in plant, this is purplish color, that is yeast, and this reddish portion which has been found in animals, it is yeast. For animals also, for plant also, yeast is not helpful because it damages the species. Now let us look what exactly budding means. So let us discuss more about yeast. Yeast is a unicellular organism. Unicellular organisms means yeast is a single cell. Unicellular means single. It has only one cell. So yeast is one of the organisms which have only one cell. To reproduce asexually, since it has only one cells, it produces asexually. As the yeast find favorable condition, a small bud-like projection produces from the yeast called bud. Now, in the favorable condition, as I told, yeast is a single cell organism. In favorable condition, it starts to develop a bud. Bud is simply a small structure which starts to develop. That is a bud. So bud grows gradually and gets detached from a parent cell. For an instance, this is a yeast cell, this is a nucleus. This nucleus starts to develop in a perfect atmospheric condition, and this slowly and steadily gets detached from its nucleus. As you can see, this is a mature yeast cell. This is a mature yeast cell, and this bud at its initial stage starts to develop. And since it has only one nucleus, and since as slowly and steadily this budding is taking place, and at some point of time the nucleus which was over here starts to reside at this new intersection of this bud, and nucleus gets split. As soon as the nucleus gets split, it gets split up into two different types of cell, and one cell is this and one cell is this. So we have two cells. So as again I'm telling, yeast is this is a yeast cell, and it has a nucleus. Since it has it is a unicellular organism, it has only single cell. Now a bud starts to grow slowly and steadily at in favorable condition. Growth of budding is taking place, and as soon as the nucleus divides and enter into this buds, after next stage it splits up into two daughter cells. This is one cell and one cell, so it's split up into two daughter cells. So this is a process of budding, and which has been usually found in plants like doggy, and this plants plants and animals it is found. Now the buds grows gradually and gets detached from the parent cell. As I told, the bud starts to grow gradually, and at one point of time it get detached from its parent cell. The new cell then grows and measures, and again the new cell acts as a new yeast cell again, and the process goes on. Sometimes a chain of buds is formed which leads to the production of large number of yeast together in a short period of time. And in a short period of time, this process continues at a very rapid pace, and majority of yeast have been found. It starts to grow. Now next type of asexual reproduction, that is fragmentation. Again, it is a type of asexual reproduction where it does not require any seeds or spore. Now, fragmentation we will discuss in terms of a species which is known as algae. So, as you can see, this is an algae. This is algae which has been found in green ocean. This is green ocean. This is an algae which is found in watery ocean. It is a slimy green patches on the ground. It is a slimy green patches on the ground, and it is mainly found in ponds and water bodies. These algae are further classified into Spirogara. This algae are basically found in water. Now one more type of algae, that is Spirogara. The Spirogara look like this. As you can see, this is a Spirogara. Now since you have understand what is this algae, now we will understand asexual reproduction, that is fragmentation, in terms of algae. Now fragmentation is another mode of asexual reproduction. As I told, first method was budding, second is fragmentation. So it is another method of asexual reproduction. It is exhibited by organisms such as Spirogara, which is one type of algae. Planaria, it is another type of plant. The parent body divides into several fragments, and each fragments develop into new organism. As you can see, this is a Spirogara. This Spirogara divides into many parts. This is a Spirogara which divides into many parts, and the division continues. The parent body divides into several fragments, and each fragment divides into n number of organisms. As the whole process continues, and the whole pond may be covered by a green scrum. As you can see, this is a algae which has been found. So slowly and steadily this starts to divide, and at one point of time the entire water body is covered with algae. So fragmentation, it is simply a process by which it is a method of asexual reproduction, in which a parent body or a parent cell divide into n number of species. Now, next type of asexual reproduction, that is spore formation. Now, as you can see, this is a bread mold, and this is a bread mold, and a small fungus is being created. This fungus is more precisely known as rhizopus. This rhizopus again, which has been found in breads. Now, next type of reproduction, that is spore formation. It is another next type of asexual reproduction, which does not require any seeds or spore. Plant like ferns, moss, fungi reproduces by this method. These are certain examples. Spores are unicellular. This again, it requires, since it has only one cell, so it is a unicellular organisms, and unicellular reproductive body present in sac called sporangia. As you can see, this is a sporangia. If you analyze this spore formation properly, you will see this type of structure. This is a spore. The structure inside this spore is sporangia. So when spores mature, sporangia burst. Spore slowly and steadily, when it gets mature, the sporangia burst, and spores are carried to different location by air and wind, water. Initially, simply you have to understand, in a spore formation, a small spore is there. With the help of, since spore is a unicellular organism and it has a sporangia, when spore mature, sporangia burst. Inside spore, sporangia is there. So slowly and steadily, when spore starts to grow, at certain point of time, this in spore, sporangia is there. Sporangia, as soon as it bursts, it gets spread into air and water, and since it gets spread into air and water, it's travel at a very rapid pace in different parts of this different parts in this part of a bread mold, and it increases. When spores fall on a suitable ground, they germinate and develop into new individual. As you can see, spore is there. As soon as the division take place at a very fast, spore is there. Inside the spore, sporangia is there. Sporangia burst in the presence of atmospheric conditions like air, wind, and water, and that sporangia splits up into a number of cells, and the whole bread gets destroyed. So this is a spore formation which take place in bread. So I hope you have understood the concept. Thank you and have a nice day.